This is a 2024 Volkswagen California, essentially a house on four wheels. And this particular California has the added bonus of having some diddly squat farm mud under the wheel arches. So that's because I decided to do a pretty much 1,000-kilometre round trip to the Cotswolds, Windsor for Legoland, and back home here in Dublin. So yeah, if you want to buy some Jeremy Clarkson mud, it'll be for sale in the description down below. The journey started with a Stena across the Irish Sea to Holyhead, where I then travelled, without paying a single toll I might add, to the Cotswolds, which is around 230 miles away, or about 4.5 hours if you don't stop. During my stay, and having gotten stuck into Clarkson's farm and pretty much binge watched 3 seasons in a few weeks, I had to make the trip to see the shop. The car park is as bad as the show makes out. It's terrible and covered in mud. The queues are long. Get there at 9 AM before it opens to get in the queue is my advice. To the Cotswolds, and I'm already in the queue for Diddly Squat, which you can probably see some of the queue all there as you see it on the TV show. Obviously it doesn't look anything like this little pocket camera, but views are lovely. And the farm shop itself is quite small, but the beer is so good. I also found a pub about 2 minutes away called the Tite, T-I-T-E, Inn, which was absolutely lovely. Great food, soft play area for kids, and proper nice English boozer. And probably 30 minutes or so queue for the farm shop. They'll tempt you with all sorts around the outside of the shop with ceramic mugs and caps, etc., all going for strong money. Beer and cider stocked everywhere, lots of photos of the cast including G-Dog, B-Juice, which is nice, and the relish in jars is also great, but everything is fairly expensive. It is the Cotswolds after all, and then there's Clarkson tax. For the extra 90 quid, get a room on the boat on the way back. Holyhead port looking well in the evening sun. This was obviously filmed before the recent storm damage. This California Ocean vehicle has pretty much done all I needed it to do this week. Now, I did bring a 6-man tent because we were in the UK for quite a few days, and there's only so much space that you have in this for a family of 4 who don't want to be in each other's company all the time and like a bit of space. This boot opening gives massive levels of shelter and cover. There's a handle for closing it, a couple of lights. When I got to Diddly Squat Farm and I saw the queues, I was delighted to remember that up here you get deck chairs, so you can pull them out of the side of the road or wherever you need these. You never know when you're going to be looking for a deck chair again. If you like bringing your dog with you or walking on beaches, you can connect the little shower head on here. That hooks onto your grey water. You can wash people, things, shoes. It's pretty handy. Don't obviously get the full shower treatment that you get in the Grand California, but as I've often said when reviewing this particular version of camper van, this is a lot more usable. It goes into car parks, it fits into things, and it kind of goes under the radar, whereas the Grand California with the big, huge, curved roof on it is certainly not something that falls or flies under the radar. The little hatch-style windows are still on board the car. Whether you want to sell lattes or just shout at your kids outside for being too noisy while you're trying to relax and watch a YouTube video maybe. Still really the same quality materials. The materials haven't changed. The fittings haven't changed since at least 2018. So you have your gas hob under here. You have your sink. You have the storage areas for your food, your snacks. And then a brilliant fridge that slots nicely in here. And that, depending on your battery charge, and you charge it as you're driving, can be anywhere between 30 and 60 hours. So you can go off the grid in this vehicle. This little table still here, easy to use, little leg on it that just drops down. Literally takes you seconds, and you can be playing cards because you can switch the captain's chair. You've probably seen all this before. One thing I will say about that table is it still rattles to God Almighty. And I wish someone in Volkswagen would figure out how to pad whatever part of that thing that keeps rattling. And privacy is so simple. All these built-in fittings in the van from the factory just work. There's no messing around. Cook with condiments and things like that, you can use that here. Again, clever use of space, such as in here. I mean, you can fit a child in there. I'm not saying you would, but just for context of space. Something else that might be of benefit to you if you like traveling and doing overnights in your California is to go onto Amazon and buy yourself a fold-away toilet, because that will make life a lot easier for you, especially if you have kids, because you don't need to go over to the campsite toilets at 3 in the morning when they need a whiz. And you can store it, as well as a child, in that section. And unlike an ID Buzz, for example, you get your own individual climate control going on here, so you can operate the auxiliary heater, keep the back area cool, hot, time it for during the night using the very clever screen that I'm about to show you now up front. Something else quite beneficial, backs of the seats have storage, so if you're just keeping items that you'll be camping with safe and secure, that's very handy. Plenty of lights around the vehicle. These are good and bright, don't need the vehicle on or anything for these to work. Same with the blinds, just works really quickly and efficiently. Because you don't know, a little switch there makes another pop-out table that lives inside the door. Really, really useful, and I actually kept that in the tent with me. And in case you have come to this video to find out how do I drop the bed, you pull this. These rear seats then will recline fully flat. This is just blocking me from dropping the seats. Once you put this as part of the bed, because this is actually your VW mattress, then all works fine. And don't forget about this little handy shelf up here that is really nicely dampened and fits quite a bit of stuff as well. Obviously there's the awning, the pop-up roof, all these bits that just give you extra comfort, and I actually managed to set up the tent right beside the van, so when the awning was extended with a nice kind of walkway from one to the other. It wasn't really raining, but it was just nice just to have that little kind of sheltered area and keep everybody happy. So this is the new screen. It's got really good graphics on it. You can see I've not quite 60 hours, but you can see your battery display there, your grey water, fresh water. Keep the fridge on by tapping that. You can also time it. Pop-up roof, the auxiliary heater, gives you an idea of levels. If you're trying to set this thing up, you can put it into camp mode. So it does these items when you have it set up. And popping up the roof is as easy as taking this part back. You see some of the net storage for phones and things. Pop down and you literally hold it like this. It will warn you to make sure that there's nothing above the roof's going to tap into. It then starts popping up like this very easily. It's probably 30 seconds and you have a fully extended roof on the top, plenty of windows and fly nets also. That's it done. And then a few short seconds later you have this additional sleeping area which easily does fit 2 adults. I've slept up here beside one of the kids here, and there was actually plenty of space. Now you do hear a lot of the outside world when you're up here, so my camper's advice to you is to buy some decent earplugs, and then it's actually really nice. There's a bit of fresh air coming in. You hear the birds in the morning if you want to. If it's heavy rain when you're camping, this isn't fully waterproof. That's another thing to be aware of. Didn't affect me on this trip, but it has done before. And there's even little light hooks. So up here you have a couple of air vents. You can hook lights on if you want, but obviously you have these LED strip lights also. So plenty of fresh air opportunities with all the sides that also open out. And within seconds you're ready to go again to drive away. You can obviously unplug your main campsite cable so you can plug the California into the camping site electric pitch to give you more battery, to give you more options and to not have to rely on the battery in the vehicle. It is a separate battery to the 12 volt, but you have 3-pin plugs dotted around this thing as well, so there's really great options for charging devices, which is so important these days because you need to keep the kids occupied when you're camping. And I probably said it like a man from lots of experience. Good car-like options up the front of the California. Also, steering wheel feels just like a VW as it should. You've got this DSG gearbox, just does all the heavy lifting for you. You don't even think about it. These captain chairs do a 180, so you can turn them around. They're still a little bit finicky to get. You've got to adjust the backs and make sure they don't clip on the B pillars of the vehicle, but you know, you get the hang of it. Your maps for wherever you go. I didn't take one single wrong turn on the 1,000 kilometer journey, which was very handy because sometimes you do. From an instruments point of view, then you have your typical VW screen that you get in a lot of the commercial vehicles. Storage for bits up here, very, very handy. The blinds for the front windscreen tuck across like this. Again, this is stuff that you're not setting things up, they're just there. You just pull them out. It makes your life so easy. Split shelf here. Obviously you have a glove box, which is actually not that big, not that useful. You can pop a drink down here. I've used it for AirPods. 2 USB-C charging points here. Then you have your full climate control and all the usual bits that you'd expect to have with heated seats in a modern vehicle. Also very handy armrests, both sides, both seats on these captain chairs. So let's talk about some driving. There's not much to really report. Like, what I was most impressed by, and I think better than previous Californias I've had, this was doing 8 litres per 100 kilometres. Fully loaded, motorway speeds, generally 70 miles an hour across the UK. And there's very little wrong with that. You have a good seating position, you can see everywhere you're going. As you can hear, there's a couple of sensors to keep you on the straight and narrow. This vehicle doesn't have blind spot. There were times when I wish I had, because when you've people in the back and you've storage and you've this thing crammed full of things and you're just trying to be aware of what's over your left, what's over your right, and you have a kid on a laptop beside you or a tablet. These are the realities of driving in California with small people. Not sure if you can hear that rattle as well, but it's... Please, someone in VW. I know sometimes people watch YouTube videos for feedback. This is my feedback. Every California I've had makes that noise. Please sort it out. Now, it's probably too late because the next California will be based on the multivan, which will be here by next summer, and that will have openings on both sides of the vehicle. It still works with a cooking area. I couldn't actually make the unveiling of the new California. I was working on radio at the time, so I'd already committed to that. I was absolutely raging because I wanted to have a look at it. So as soon as I get my hands on the new version of the California, I will. But you might prefer this style. You'll be able to get a PHEV version in the new California. For example, that would have been absolutely useless to me. I wanted to get into this thing and drive as far as I could without stopping, without listening to kids moaning, get to my destination and do it in diesel fuel economy. And for me, I would struggle to be in anything but a diesel California. Just the torque for overtaking when you're fully laden as well. There's loads of reasons as to why you'd want a diesel California, in my opinion. But the seating position also gives you these beautiful views as you drive along the Cotswolds or France or wherever you are. You load this thing onto a ferry. You've got it stuffed to the gills, full of all your home from home creature comforts that just, again, make life a bit easier because everyone's happier because they've got their favorite teddy or their favorite pillow. Whatever it is, just stuff that you can't bring on an aircraft. And that's, again, another area where the California just keeps coming into its own over and over again. When you're trundling down a country road or even a motorway, to be honest with you, depending on the surface of it, it's noisy, it's rattly. People will tell you you're going too fast, even though you're not. You're just obeying the speed limit because there's just so much weight going on in this thing and there's so many things rattling around. You might want to knock the speed back to even 10 kilometers an hour below whatever the current speed limit is. Especially if you're on a kind of a bouncy road, it can just all get a little bit, I would say motion sicknessy, like it's fine, but it's just you're aware you're in a big loaded vehicle. A rattle. Every single California has it. Sort it out. It's just the fun you can have, the places you can go to. We visited Diddley Squad Farm, some beautiful pubs in the Cotswolds, travelled down to Windsor, got back in after a kind of a soft day and got warm and dry, and you can have towels in the back. It just gives you options of great memories with your family, and if you're going to keep it for a while, you kind of get the money's worth out of it. For something that's out of the box, it's worked pretty well for me, I have to say. It's really, really economical when you think of how much stuff you put into it. It does need, in my opinion, a tent with you, but that doesn't have to take up a huge amount of space. You don't have to get the size of tent I had, and that will go into the boot regardless. Or you can put a roof box onto it. You just got to then take that away every time you're popping up the roof and all, you know, there's all that stuff, but it gives you even more flexibility then with it. Had a great trip in it, a lot of fun. It's just as usable as ever. The problem is every time I film a California review every year, the price has just gone up and up and up. And that's still the case with this. They're getting more expensive over time. Good news is, depreciation-wise, they do hold their value quite well. And I actually looked yesterday at a transporter van that had been converted to a camper van. And you just, well, whoever had used this particular company that I was looking at, you just can't compare to how that's fitted out. And for me, that's probably the draw in getting one. But there is no doubt there's money to be saved if you want to do the whole retrofit thing yourself. You've just got extra hassle. You can't just walk into a showroom and say, I want one of them, please. If you like your camping, if you like your traveling, this is a great vehicle and you'll have lots of fun in it. Make no mistake about it. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.